Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'll be looking at all the Bumblebee movie Decepticons that I have and that are currently released. Do note, I do not have the thrust version of the Seeker molds because honestly I didn't care for it, and it was just another Seeker mold at the time and it's just meh for me. But yeah, here we have Starscream, Thundercracker, Soundwave, Ravage, Concept Series Rumble, and Concept Series Megatron. So, the reason why I denote these two as being Concept Series is that they never actually appeared in the movie. The only ones that appeared were these four here. That was it. And recently, Hasbro has decided to essentially bolster out their Studio Series line with adding concept art figures, which honestly is kind of cool because we get to see in physical toy form what these characters would have looked like. And, well, honestly, I think so far they've gone off to a great start. They only have two figures officially announced, that being these two, and one that's been unofficially revealed, which was the Bumblebee movie Sunstreaker. And I don't know if I'm going to get that because honestly I'm not really feeling a lot of the Bumblebee movie Autobots. We'll get to that when I get to their reviews, but otherwise I like the Decepticons a bit more. But yeah, so also for note, the only ones that because all of these four specifically are characters are specifically from the Cybertron scene, which is the opening action scene in the Bumblebee movie. We technically don't see the vehicle mode for Soundwave here, so his vehicle mode is technically concept art because he only appeared in robot mode twice. I think in two scenes, one where we saw him, Shockwave, and Starscream all standing in a group shot, and that was it. The only one we see transform on the Decepticon side is the Seekers, which is why they have accurate vehicle modes to the movie and accurate robot modes. For Soundwave here, and also for a lot of the Autobots, is that they had liberties where they could work from the robot mode backwards, allowing them to create whatever they wanted for the vehicle mode, and thus they made him a hover tank thing. We don't really know what this is really supposed to be. People have joked and made this look like the glider from Spider-Man, the Goblin glider, which interesting, I guess. But hey, at the very least, he has an alternate mode. But if you flip it around, you can see pretty much the legs, the chest, the arms. Yeah. Also, you can fit the little, well, they're not cassettes, obviously, but the cubes here, well, in both modes. You have access to the thing and just take that off, and you can just slide it on in, boop, none's the wiser. And you can technically just have it be an action feature, I guess, where kind of in Cybertron, where he was a bomber ship. If that makes any sense. But yeah. So the first one we'll take a look at is, well, we're going to do the transformation for Megatron here first, because he's technically a triple changer. Because him being concept art allows him freedom of being whatever vehicle mode he wants, they decided, because this is a leader class, to give him a second mode, which is a jet mode. But even then, I scarcely call it that, and it's not that great. But yeah, the tank mode here is honestly very compact, and from what I understand, it takes some transformation steps from some of the other live action Megatrons, I think from Megatron toys. like specifically like in how the like tank legs work, where they just like expand from like the hip areas, like right here. Like it all just compacts in. Well, that'll make more sense once it gets robot mode. But yeah, if you look underneath, you can just see his ugly mug, which is beautifully painted, by the by. Like it's honestly something that like allows them, I think, with like the budget with this just being a like this is the arms, this is the legs, this is like right here, this is the chest. Like it just allows them the like extra budget to paint this guy up to whatever degree they want. So yeah, so transformation into the jet mode. So first things first is what I just like to do is just get the cannon out of the way, and then just use this double hinge here, tab it all together. I think, yeah, like that. Set it off to the side, and you can do this with the cannon still in place. I honestly just like to remove it just to get out of the way, because getting this guy into jet mode kind of sucks, and the instructions were not as clear. And even then, like I looked up like instructions from like MGO, like in his like JTI videos, and even then it was confusing. So yeah, so just move the arms out of the way and then untap it all up here. Also, make sure to fold out the cockpit piece here with both of them, and then bring this up, turn the head around, if I do believe, and then just leave it like that. Flip in these like pieces so that they're meeting in the middle, and then just getting the legs out of the way. Bring up these hip joint pieces here, bring them up. Also make sure to bring these like front flaps down so you can collapse this all together. Make sure it clicks all into place, up and on the top part and on the bottom. Compress these little like tank treads in. These are annoyingly hard to get out, so I do recommend like either like a set of tools, or honestly, whilst I haven't tried it, try loosening the screw here. It might help with getting this piece in and out, because it is very like hard to get out without like ruining like your fingers. So yeah, and then rotate this forward while keeping the this like tab side down. Essentially, bring all of this out, untab it from the front. What was the front of the tank? Flip that all around. Flip this thing out. Then bring this all down and make sure this tab here goes into this slot. Okay. There we go. And make sure all of this tabs into the tread that we just compressed in words. There we go. And make sure this piece is pointed forwards. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go. There we go. Then bring both of. Let's get this whole front piece fixed. So bring this. So accordion this part forward. Bring this part back, and then bring it down and around. Make sure it all compresses into place, and then bring this piece back up. Then the arms out of the way. So make sure that these front hip skirts tab into this slot here. Do so on the other side. And now, after that, now for the more well, the most annoying part of this transformation is trying to figure out how the arms tab into these slots. Because there's a tab here, a slot here, and the instructions are annoyingly not clear about how to do this, because while trying to get this in, you're also trying to, like, it kind of tabs in, but also this is where they say, like, where you, like, keep the, yeah, right here. This is where you keep the cannon on. If you're to keep the cannon on like that, like, it just, like, you want it to be pointed out straight. So you either have to untab it like that, or there is some other step that is either not included in the instructions or something else. But honestly, while the jet mode is alien, to say the least, it's just not held all together well. Like the tab, using the hip skirts to hold basically the entirety of the legs, because these don't solidly tab in. Like, you can see, like, it's just bouncing right out. So honestly, I tend to just forget that he has a jet mode, and there are many other people that have used his, like, very non, like, confirming, like, modes into, like, multiple fan modes. Like, I've seen people do a better, like, a different style of, like, the tank mode, a gun mode for this guy, like an elephant mode, I think. But honestly, there are better videos, like, showing that off. I'm probably not going to do that here, but yeah, this was, like, the second mode, and let's move on to one of the other figures before we get to this guy's, like, robot mode. So I already showed off Soundwave in his, like, get, like, the rest of, like, Soundwave's, like, stuff done. But yeah, as you can see, as I mentioned, hover tank type dealio, like, basically visible from underneath. And honestly, I do not like the fact that they tell you in instructions to put the guns on the sides, because that doesn't scream tank to me. Putting them on, using, like, the screw holes here, like, these happen to be like 5mm. I honestly just tend to tab them in onto the front here and here, just to give him, like, some upfront armaments. Like, honestly, I feel like that works a lot better. And I've seen people mistransform the back end here and use it as, like, a spot to put the shoulder cannon and have it act as, like, a turret. But I prefer doing it the way, like, where I just, like, use some of the conveniently 5mm-esque pegs that are the screw holes. And honestly, I feel like that's pretty cool. So yeah. So Rumble here turns into what is essentially it's just a box. It's a box that can fit inside the chest, just like that. And you can do the same thing that you can do with Ravage. Just have them fall off the set. So yeah. So let's get the transformation for this guy done, and then we'll show off these two, because, well, like, his transformation is very simple. First things first, I'll obviously take off all the stuff, flip the feet off here because they just tab hole on both sides, pull these apart, flip that up, then unfurl the entirety of the leg and rotate it like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Flip that in and that, and then fill in the back. Bring the ankles here down, rotate them forward, and then that's the entire bottom half done. Now for the arms, just untab them from the body, bring them forward, bring the arms forward, and then make sure you untab the covers here from the back, like they just tab in on these, like, little hook things here. Bring them down, fold the shoulders all together, open the back, flip out the hands, do the same thing on the other side. Bring this up, rotate this around, rotate that around, bring it down, bring that up, and rotate the head around, and here we have Bumblebee movie Soundwave in his robot mode. And honestly, I feel like this is a great way to modernize a Soundwave. Like, it has all like the design details just there, and honestly perfect. And also, just like flip this down here. Also, for some reason, it has 2 pegs. If you just wanted like holding it like his regular gun, there is an accessory that comes with Ravage that I'll just show off now. This little piece here that you can plug onto the tip of it that can make it like his traditional like cannon thing here. Like, this wasn't part of the movie, it's just an accessory that they included with this guy. I don't know why, but it's there if you want it. Like, you can do it in like either way. I kind of prefer it this way because if I do it sideways, then it's kind of asymmetrical with the peg here, and I kind of need that to store on Ravage. So just flip that down, then you can just plug it here on the back, just like that. Have it be like a upgraded shoulder cannon or whatnot. And if you do get 2 of this guy for some reason, you can mount a second like shoulder cannon on the other side if you want it like that, even though that looks kind of wrong. Like, it looks off to me. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it right there, and you can give him his rifle. You can go on either hand, and also he does have the classic functionality of opening chest void, and you can, if you want, if it does get stuck, you can basically just go right through them. So yeah, so you can store Ravage in here, and also can see Ravage through the front. And same thing goes for Rumble here. But if you do it like this, where you try to put him from on the side, he's kind of hard to put in like that. Like, you can put him in there, but like, he gets stuck. So the best way I've found of storing him in Soundwave's chest is honestly putting him with the pile drivers facing out, just like this. But then again, like that, honestly, with the pile drivers on this side facing forward. So yeah, you can store both of them in there. I would not be surprised if we get a red version of this guy in the future, and maybe even a laser beak just to complete the set. Honestly, I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, transformation for these little guys. For Rumble here, you just like plank him like that, flip the feet down, untab the legs from these 2 separate gun pieces, which are kind of necessary for holding the like brick mode together. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so if you lose these 2, you can still transform him. It's just that it's not as solid. Like, so yeah, don't lose them. So just bring these out, flip them down, and then bring out the arms, bring them down like this, then unfold the pile drivers, which are now his arms, then rotate the head around. And here you have little Rumble in his robot mode, and honestly, like, it looks really good. Like, I am surprised that they went for the like faceplate for like just like the mouth mask plate here for him instead of like a smirk or something. But then again, not a lot of the like robots in that Cybertron scene even had mouths. So, but yeah, also this is another core class like Rumble with no elbow articulation. The closest to elbow articulation is that. and honestly, it kind of sucks, but hey, it's a small bot, and it had to fit somehow. But yeah. You can store the guns on the back here. There are 2 ports. So if you want the classic look, there you go. But these guns do have a feature where these are both compatible with like core classes because of the 3mm like posts here, but you can combine them together to form a little pistol for Soundwave, which honestly is kind of nice. Or it can be like a pistol for any of your other like bigger figures, but hey, it is like a nice feature. So yeah. And if they do release a red version of this guy, then he'll have 2 pistols to give the Soundwave. But yeah, articulation. But for articulation for the little guy, he does have a ball joint at the neck. It is going down into the chest. He does have a hinge at the shoulder, which does bump into his head. Full rotation at the arm, nothing below, well, the shoulder. No waist swivel, but he does have an ab crunch due to transformation. His legs are on universals. They can't go back that far forward and can do the full splits, just like that. And have a ball joint at the knee, so he does get over 90 degrees of bend at the knee and can act as a rotation. And technically he has foot articulation, but it's mostly just for transformation, and it's just a hinge. Like, you can't go backwards at all, but it can go forwards. So yeah, that is Rumble. And let's go for the more iconic of the like cassette bots, that being Ravage here, which forms into a cube just like Rumble. Like, there isn't that much difference, but for transformation you do have to parts form a bit. Like, it's just like the hip rockets, which do store back here and do just peg right on the legs, just like that. But yeah, to start, unfold all of the limbs, bring back the tail, rotate on the hinge here, and then use the ball joints to rotate all this around, just like that. Then bring the head forward, bring the front legs down, and then there's a part here on the chest that you have to take off, and then plug in back up here, just like that. And there you have Ravage in robot mode. And honestly, this was one of the first like Studio Series core classes, and honestly, I think it is surprisingly well. Like, as an accessory to Soundwave, it is surprisingly good. But if you're just getting it on its own, it's not that great, because if, for one, it comes with a part that, well, no other figure can really use besides this Soundwave, and, well, it's also very small for a core class. Like, yeah. So for articulation, there is a hinge at the neck, mostly just for transformation. Sorry, I haven't been feeling well. But yeah, and his mouth does open and close, just like that. The front legs do have a ball joint at the shoulder here, hinge and hinge at the paw here. And there are also ball joints on the back legs, hinge, hinge, and hinge. Just like that. And also the tail does move up and down. So yeah, that was Ravage. Also, so now let's get to the articulation of essentially their father. So, articulation for Soundwave. He does have a ball joint at the neck, allows him to do, well, a full 360. He can look up that far and down. And his shoulders are, well, the hinge is in the chest, and it can get a bit awkward posing this guy because, well, yeah. So, also, there is just a straight, like, hinge here at the shoulder, and because, like, mostly just because of how it transforms, you can have it, the arm move separately of the shoulder, like, thing, or just have it move with it, but you do have an, like, unlimited range here. And also a full 360 at the bicep, technically a double hinge at the elbows, but you're not going to get the fullest extent. The closest you're going to get is different varying degrees of 90 degrees of bend. And he does have a waist swivel, but this is the most annoying part of this figure for me, is the fact that it's on this, it's blocked by this, like, piece here. Like, if this piece wasn't here, you'd have the full rotation, like, the legs can go forward and back. That, sorry about that, I just had a family just talking here loudly nearby. So, what I was talking about with, like, the legs is that, like, with this here, like, yes, it doesn't limit the forward and backwards all that much. It's just that it looks very awkward when you're, like, posing him like that. Like, I'm honestly surprised no one has done, like, an upgrade kit to essentially give it, like, make these parts, like, move to the side when you're, like, trying to, like, pose him, because he has good articulation, especially, like, in the legs, but it does suck. Like, you do, like, an almost full splits, and he has, like a bit over 90 degrees of bend at the knee with this part, mostly moving, like, cover the gap, mostly just because of how it transforms, like, this being, like, the front claw things in vehicle mode. Yeah, and he does have really good ankle articulation, and his feet can move down and also have a rotation, which is really nice. So yeah, that was Soundwave and his, like, little cassette minions. Let's move on to, well, Megatron's second in command. Well, Trader's second in command, that being Starscream here, who, well, compared to the other, like, characters that we have here, like, he's the only character who has, like, a confirmed vehicle mode in the movie, and so they opted for the Tetrajet. And honestly, for a updated version of the Tetrajet, compared to how we saw it back in my nacelle review, which was more of a G1 take, this is honestly really good. Like a central, like, tower here in the middle, and then the wings here on the side, and, like, the nose cone, like, and also do note, the nose cone here is made out of, like, rubber, so it's not gonna, like, it is pokey, but it's not gonna poke someone's eye out. So yeah. Also, the stand port for the flight mode is this right here, which is essentially the gun in robot mode, and I have some complaints about this gun. Like, it could have been so much better, but hey, it had to pull double duty for being, like, the under gun of the vehicle mode. So yeah. And also, you can see the head in the back here. So yeah. Like, it is doing essentially the classic, like, Starscream color scheme, but in an alien jet. And same thing goes for Thundercracker here. So, like, this is, like, a nice, like, dark blue with, like, red accents and the, like, beige, like, colors here, which is honestly pretty cool. And, like, it's basically the entire same mold as this guy. It's just that there's some different transformation steps and a different head in the back here. So, yeah. So, for transformation, we're going to do Screamer first, and then, because these two have pretty much the exact same transformation, it's just that there's, like, a slight appearance difference in how they want you to transform this guy, and I'm going to show that off. But, okay, first things first, remove these null rays here, and then remove the bottom, like, gun here. I'll just put that all off to the side. First things first, fold up these wing flaps on the side, bring that forward, and bring that around. Fold those out, like that. Fold all that up, and then we can bring that up, split it apart, untab the nose cone here, bring it down, bring all that back. Also, don't forget to bring out these, like, little piston detail things on both sides, They're like a small step, but they do help with like changing up the robot mode a bit. And now for the arms. Bring out the forearms here, bring out the hands, rotate them around, make sure that they tab into place. Rotate the arms forward, and bring them down. And now for the entire legs assembly here, just untab it and then swing it around. Just like that. And then bring the head down. And now time for the legs. Rotate them like that. Just to get this out of the way first, just fold up the back thing there and then fold it in like that. Untab these parts here. Make sure you fold that in first and then you fold in that. Do the same thing on the other side. Fold out the feet and then rotate this entire thing in, filling in the whole left. So do the same thing on the other side. Why isn't this tabbing in? Okay, well, there we go. There we have Starscream in his robot mode, and it's accurate to what we see for a few seconds in the film. I'll give it that, but God, I don't know why I've been coughing a lot today, but regardless, on with the review. So for the null rays, they just go like these, like gun bits here that can be used in the hands, but honestly, they look kind of dinky. So they just go into these 5mm pegs here. These point upwards, like everything else, and then you can give the gun here, and then just plug it into the hand, making it look like it transformed out of the hand, even though every other time you pose it, it'll look like that. Yeah, that's my one complaint about this figure, and the fact that for third-party companies and like upgrade kits, they haven't made a better gun for this version of the figure. I know that they've made better guns for the Blitzwing Earth mode, but I would love for like a new gun for this guy because, for one, it's a very shallow peg. Like there isn't that, like there is enough for it to hold on, but like it just pops out easy in my, well, it obviously didn't in that example, but in my opinion, it just looks very awkward, and it looks like it's slightly drooping, like, all the time. Like, there are mistransformation steps that you can do, like, with folding the hand back in and then underslinging the thing, but even then, like, it looks off, and then the moment that you put any pressure on it, it just falls off easily. Like, I'm honestly surprised that no one's made a, like, upgrade kit for this to give it, like, a new gun. But yeah. So let me get this guy transformed real quick. Here we have Thundercracker. And his, like, officially, like, his transformation steps are, like, the exact same. It's just that you don't flip around the, like, wing tips here, giving him a bit of a different vibe compared to Starscream. Like, as I showed off like a few seconds ago, you can transform him in the exact same manner as Starscream, but honestly, I do kind of like the wings like this, specifically for Thundercracker. For Starscream, the upturned wings look very nice, but I like this a bit more. Then mostly because, like, okay, the difference between these two, like, is a big QC, and also, well, obviously, the heads. The heads here, like, you have this, like, unmasked Starscream, like, face here, where it does turn side to side. It's just that you can't get any upwards out of it, and it's stuck at this angle. Like, it just looks awkward. Like, you can't get any up or down out of it, and because he's supposed to be a flying character, that's kind of important. Also, piece that I forgot to show off during the transformation is technically bringing this forward. But yeah, it's a bit annoying. Like, you can't do the same thing on Thundercracker here either, but you can do it, like, like a bit. Like, it's just that, well, that happens. Like, I don't know why it's on my, I don't know, it's just my copy that's a bit weird, but, like, Thundercracker's head pops off a bit too much in my case. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think it's fully on the joint, but God, I'm sorry for all my coughing. I don't know what's come over me. But yeah. So, yeah. For articulation, I'm going to do it with Thundercracker here because they are the exact same except in color and in head sculpt. So, for the head, you just get these side to side, like especially on Starscream as I showed, but you do get a bit of up and down with Thundercracker. You do a full 360 at the arms, and the wings can't go back as far, but they can go inward if you want that look. So yeah, the arms can go out that far, and that's it. There's a bicep swivel, over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, and the wrists, there's no wrist articulation, but you can move them down due to transformation. There is a waist swivel, surprisingly enough, but it's not all that useful. Like, you can't, like, I guess you can do that if you want, like, a pointing and shooting pose. So yeah, you can do that. The legs can go forward that far and can go back that far. There is a thigh swivel, and also, if you notice here, they filled in the thigh gap with, like, a bunch of, like, detailing, which is pretty cool. The legs can go to 90, and he has over, like that much, like, ankle articulation, and technically some up and down due to transformation. It's just that if you're trying to use it, like, you can only really use it when you're using the ankle tilt, and only when it's, like, this far is when you can use it fully, but then again, you're just transforming it at that point. So yeah, honestly, a good mold. I'm surprised that they've only done, like, they've done Thrust, they've done Thundercracker, and they've done the Starscream, but there hasn't been a Skywarp, even though he technically appeared in the movie. I think it's, like, one of the background characters, but there have been listings of a, like, Bumblebee movie Skywarp for a while, and we don't know when that's going to happen. So yeah. Also, cool little detail is the fact that the thrusters of the jet mode become basically the leg thrusters in robot mode, which is honestly really cool. And I think these might be blast effect compatible if you have, like, a long enough blast effect, but, well, that. So, and now on to the main event himself, which is that being good old Megatron here. And, well, in his subpar jet mode, I already showed off the tank mode and the transformation from tank to jet. Now we're going to do jet to robot. So, let's start off with bring the forearms like that. Bring them up, and then untab the thighs like that. Bring them down. Bring them down. Rotate them. Untab everything from the legs. Bring that panel up. Yeah, just bring that up. Get out of the way. Bring that up. Rotate this back in. Make sure it tabs into place like that. Bring this wing panel around, and then fold it up like that. And there you have one leg all done. Just do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And then just straighten all this up. Bring that forward. And then untab everything back here, and also make sure to get these panels here forwarded like that. Fold up the nose cone, fold it in like that, and then make sure you bring all of it down so you have clearance to get the head all the way through, and then accordion it all back up like this. Make sure you get the hinge joints in like that. Make sure the chest, use these tabs to tab into here. Make sure it does it on both sides, and make sure that the head platform using this tab here goes into this slot here where my fingernail is. There we go. Well, it kind of holds it in place, but hey. Bring all of the arms down, rotate the fusion cannon, and then flip out this panel, bring out the hands on both sides, and here we have Bumblebee movie Megatron. Well, actually, wait 1 second. We gotta rotate this cannon bit around, and then it's all done. And there we have Bumblebee movie Megatron in his robot mode, and I must say, when I first saw this robot mode, like when it was first revealed, well, actually, when it was first leaked, we all didn't think it was real. Like, we saw the prototypes leaked of this, like, a long, long time ago, and honestly, none of us believed it was real. Like, because it didn't make sense, and honestly, I'm glad that we have it. Like, because this robot mode is just amazing. Like, this is arguably the perfect, like, design for a Megatron if it was live action. I am kind of disappointed that he didn't appear officially in the Bumblebee movie, but it kind of made sense at the time because they didn't know whether Bumblebee was going to be a prequel to the Bayverse films or going to be its own standalone thing, so they decided to omit Megatron just in case. Like, it makes sense from, like, a production standpoint, but this design here, like, we saw the design on, I think, on, like, a children's, like, toy, like, box art. Like, we saw the design for it, and honestly, I think it's perfect. Like, true, there are some small things that I wish were better, like the jet mode, and honestly, he doesn't really come with much. Like, the only accessory he technically has is the fusion cannon. That's it. Like, what you see is what you get. But what you get is a lot, honestly. Like, you get 3 modes, great articulation, and for a leader class, you get articulated fingers. Like it's just like the pointer and the bottom 3 fingers are on, like combined here, but honestly, the only other time we saw this on a mainline release was on a commander class. And seeing it for a leader class, which, honestly, considering that he, wasn't officially in the movie, and honestly, the only thing that they would have to stick to, especially when designing this guy, even for the movie, like, we probably would have only seen this here, just the robot mode, leaving the design team to have free reign, kind of like with Soundwave, to design whatever vehicle mode they wanted for him. So, yeah. So, well, actually, just to show off the one weird feature that the fusion cannon has, is that, for one, it has this hinge back here with a 5mm port, so you can tab it here on the back and have it be like a shoulder cannon, I guess. Weird. Or you can just tab it in like that, have it be over the shoulder, and then use, like, the hinges here has the cannon. But a way to store it if you want to and not have it be on the arm is fold, like, the cannon so that this tab here is aligned with the red dot, and then use the hinge here and then fold it up and then just tab it on the back. Yeah, and I don't know why it's like this. It's just weird. But yeah. So let me get this on transform real quick, and then we can get to his articulation, because who is it good? So for starters, he has a ball joint at the neck and really expressive one at that. Like look up and down that far. You can technically use the hinge, like the transformation hinge, to make him look down even more, like just menacingly. He does have a butterfly joint in the chest. Like, it's really nice, and the arms can go out that far, full rotation, bicep swivel, and over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow on a single hinge. And he does have a forearm swivel. It's mostly for transformation, but if there's any reason you would want to use it, then you can. And due to transformation, there is a bit of a hinge at the fist and a wrist swivel. I already mentioned the articulation of the fingers. He does have a waist swivel, and he does have hip skirts that are on hinges here, like just like one hinge here and like forward and back, like downwards here, so they can't get out of the way. So like his legs can go like all the way up and all the way back and all the way out. And if you get this out of the way, like you can go even more. It does have a thigh swivel, which is surprisingly tight on mine. He does have over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, which is really nice. And he does have really good ankle articulation, and he has a bit of a hinge here at the foot, which is really nice, especially for like standing in like if you want him on the back foot. So yeah, like Megatron is honestly, I do recommend getting this guy, but considering how popular he is, he will probably run out of stock fast. But honestly, I think like he is worth the leader class price. If you can get him at like a discount, I do say get him. But honestly, I think he is worth it. And honestly, just seeing him alongside the rest of his alongside the rest of the classic Decepticons, like I can't wait to put this guy next to the Shockwave, which I am honestly surprised that Hasbro hasn't revealed yet, like officially, because there have been people that found it officially in like its box, like on store shelves, I think. So yeah. So it is very weird about that situation, but hey, it is what it is. And honestly, I am kind of happy having this be my Decepticon Bumblebee movie group. Like honestly, I am happy with this. So that has been my review for all of these guys. Please give me a like, comment, subscribe. I have a bunch of other videos on my channel, and honestly, I'm probably gonna do the Autobots in their own review at some point in the future. I do have another review on the docket for me to work on. So yeah. So comment on what do you hope for the future of Studio Series, because it's kind of fizzling at the moment, but hey, it is what it is. Well, I have hope that it will all be fun, and I just hope people will be happy with it. So yeah, that has been me signing off. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.